Hello, and welcome to the very first movie review on my channel. As some of you may know, my name is Foos. I am the runner of this channel, Foos Entertainment. For years, people have been asking me to review movies and give my opinion on the quality of a DVD or of a Blu-ray, and my thoughts on what I thought about the movie and how it impacted my life, or if I find things I don't like about the movie or things I like about the movie. Well, I decided let's go ahead and start this off with a movie that I grew up watching as a teenager. And that would be this one. 1985's Fright Night. Directed by Tom Holland and starring Chris Sarandon, William Ragsdale, Amanda Bersey from Married with Children, and many editors including Stephen Jeffries from 1976 Evil, Roddy McDowall from the Planet of the Apes franchise, and so on. Well, this movie, when I was a kid, I came across it like most people actually did. I saw the very innovative poster art on the VHS tape at the time, which was one of the old 1980s style Columbia Pictures releases. Which is actually very cool how they actually made VHSs back then. It's a little bit different than the way they did towards the end of the VHS life that we once knew, that has now since gone. The cover pretty much is a more blown up version of this particular part of the DVD cover, which shows us the house right here in the sort of cloud-like reflection of the vampire version of Amanda Bersey's character, Amy Peterson, within the movie. I didn't know what to expect when I actually came across Fright Night for the first time. Then I watched it, and I fell instantly in love with the movie. Its originality, its portrayal of classic vampire tales of the old Bela Lugosi and Vincent Price era meets a modern take of the modern era of movies in the time, which was 1985 when the film came out. This film, in my opinion, is one of the most innovative of its time because it has so many visual effects that a lot of people around those days just wouldn't do. They, of course, had real effects, unlike today with CGI. There always was a few animatronic or just makeup effects and stuff like that in every movie in that time period. But what I found really cool was that they did things like trigonography and miniaturized effects, as well as transference effects. Like, for example, I would say that the transformation of the character known as Evil Ed by Stephen Jeffries, when he transforms from a wolf back into a vampire, then finally back into a human before his demise, happens, in my opinion, be a much more innovative effect than, say, the werewolf transformation in American Werewolf in London. The film follows pretty much this for anybody who has not seen the movie, which I find that very, very surprising if you haven't. The story reflects around a suburban teenager, 17 years old, named Charlie Brewster, who comes to find that his next-door neighbor, who just moved in, played by Chris Sarandon, the character known as Jerry Dandridge, who is mysterious, finds out that he's actually a vampire. He finds this out by discovering that he is feeding on hookers, that he actually calls, I guess, a 1-800 number or something, and brings them to his residence, and then he does his vampire thing and devours them, and leaves their remains out to be found by the police. He tries to tell the police that there's a vampire living next door to him, as well as his best friend and girlfriend, and none of them believe him. So he ends up, because he's a fan of horror movies, especially of a character known as Peter Vincent, who is kind of like our Vincent Price, vampire hunter crochet from the 1930s through 50s era, played by Roddy McDowall. Again, I mentioned that. He pretty much is just an actor, and he doesn't believe Charlie Brewster either. And then when Charlie Brewster gets more serious about actually taking matters in his own hands, his girlfriend and his best friend actually influence Mr. Vincent to actually help him to disprove that Jerry Danders is indeed a vampire. They all get targeted, and it has a very good climax in which Charlie and Peter have to go up against the forces of evil in a chamber piece environment of the vampire's lair house. This film, in my opinion, is one that is beloved by millions, but is not one that's talked about nearly as much as, say, The Lost Boys. I happen to like this one better than The Lost Boys, mainly because of the fact that Lost Boys is too much of a crochet to teenage noir and coming-of-age type of stuff, while Fright Night may have that in it, but like I said, it's like a counterpart of taking the movies of old and the movies of new at the time. The performances are very amazing in this movie by everybody. Now let's talk about, of course, the quality of the DVD. Unfortunately, there has been no United States of America release of Fright Night on Blu-ray. There has been 3 releases, of course, which I did not own because I simply know the difference between NTTSC, which is American format, and PAL, which is the rest of the world. And people don't often know this, but if you buy an all-region DVD or Blu-ray that plays on your player, it is more likely to be a PAL transfer instead of an NTTSC transfer. And as far as rest of the world, I love the rest of the world. I love Europe. I love Germany and all these other places. America is just a very small spot. It's a big country, and it's a country of the free, and it's a well looked upon country, but it still is, compared to the rest of the world, just a little piece. But when it comes to movies, they actually have better quality in the United States of America than everywhere else in the world. And so that's why I never bought a Blu-ray of the movie. I was waiting for some company like Dream Factory to maybe release a Blu-ray in the United States of America so I can get it then. But let's talk about this DVD. This DVD has no special features, but every now and then I will research the movie and find that tells me everything I need to know about the film, but that's something for a different discussion. For DVD, this is not bad at all. The HD mastering is very good on this. I find it very interesting that, unlike many DVDs that precede a movie in 235 or 240 by 1 wide, the bars on top and bottom of the screen are actually virtually identical, with no difference, which is something that's rare for DVD. It didn't lose its retro look that the movie actually had with the quality of the picture. It's something that I actually find pretty cool because of the fact that remastered movies usually look so different from the original overall look of the way film originally was preceded. I find the colors very cool. It has the very neutrality about it. It kind of has scenes that are cooler temperatured, but they don't lose the neutrality of adding warm temperature in there when it's actually required. And when it needs to be warm, it does. And it also has this very cool combination between warm and cool temp without actually using neutral colors, which I find a lot in the movie, which I always thought was interesting. Is for the sound. A lot of people who watch the DVD actually sometimes complain about the sound. Obviously the sound may be neutral in its effects, but if you actually have a real sound system like say a Yamaha or Onkyo system, something that you actually had to invest money into, not just some cheap, commercial DVD theater or Blu-ray theater, but you actually invest in a real theater system like I do, you can get a lot of sound out of a movie. And that is definitely the case with this one. It's really cool about the sound about the movie is that it's only loud in surrounding, where effects are on all cylinders on the surrounds and the stereos and the mono mixes, and the subwoofer and amplified effects when it needs to be. and subtle when it doesn't need to be dramatic. Which is very interesting for a DVD to do that, because DVDs are compressed down to a bit rate that is very low compared to the actual sound that the movie's supposed to produce originally. But yeah, the sound actually was very cool, very good sound effects in the movie on DVD and its quality. All I can say is, if you have not seen Fright Night from 1985, and well, again, we'll say 1985's Fright Night, because I know there's better Fright Night movies. I will be reviewing all but Fright Night New Blood, because I thought that movie sucked, but I will be reviewing on probably the next couple reviews the 1988 sequel in the 2011 remake, also known as the vampire movie that brought us back to knowing what a vampire movie is, which was released in 2011. But that's pretty much my thoughts on Fright Night. I hope you enjoyed listening to my thoughts on the DVD quality, as well as what I feel and think about the movie and my insights. And I hope to see you guys again. Let me know how this podcast plays with you. This is my very first podcast. I've never done this before. I'm always singing music in front of people, or in this very room singing music, and either in front of backdrops or on my computer and recording. I haven't really done a podcast before, so let me know what you guys thought. And I will see you next time. Until then, bye.